I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
This is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we watched Little Shop of Horrors 5 minutes before we wrote the script, because this week we watched The Idiot's Lantern.
Written by Mark Gatiss.
Directed by Euros Lynn. Still don't know if it's Euros or Euros, by the way.
And aired on May 27th, 2006. Well, he seems to be directing all the episodes now, so...
So you're saying I should probably find out which one it... Okay.
No, not saying that at all.
Okay, that's good, because I'm probably not. And it's always weird trying to find out how to pronounce someone's name on the internet. Like Google, how do you pronounce Euros Lynn? And then it brings up a video for someone else with a similarly spelled name that's not the person you need, because, I don't know, some people pronounce names differently even though they have the same spelling, so...
Could just ask him.
Oh, yeah, because that's an option we have
Twitter
open to us.
Or email.
Does he have a Twitter?
We could email him.
Does he have an email that's publicly accessible?
Who knows? Well, we won't know until we try. So I guess that's going to be our goal between now and next week is email Euros Lynn
and ask him how to say his name.
Yeah. And I'm not going to do it, so I guess it's on you.
This is like that time where I didn't know if I butchered Simon Guerrier's name, and then when I tweeted at him, hope I didn't butcher your name, he responded with, thanks, I'll reply to anything, but it's pronounced Simon Guerrier, except it was a text, so that didn't help at all.
Anyway, this.
Yeah, back to this. There's a lot more similarities between this and Little Shop of Horrors than there were between Girl in the Fireplace and Monsters, Inc., and I don't think we ever even enumerated why we chose Monsters, Inc. as the intro for that episode, so, you know, whatever.
And we're not going to do it now. So anyway, this starts with a family gathering around their really old TV set to watch TV. Really need to upgrade. No, it actually just takes place in 1940.
53,
whatever.
I think.
53. Whenever
Queen Elizabeth
was first crowned, which is like probably 150 years ago at this point. No. She's like 90, isn't she?
Yeah. Something like that. The Eternal Reign. So, yeah, well, I think it actually starts with the family gathering around the radio, and then the guy's like, we'll buy a TV for the coronation. And then the mom's like, I hear TVs melt your brain.
The son is like, I think the grandma says that, and the son is like, Dad, we need a TV. And the dad's like, yeah, well, I'll think about it.
And then we cut to Magpie Electronics, where Mr. Magpie really conceded naming your company after yourself like that.
Not really. Not really.
He's, I don't know, he has his face morphed into the TV. There's this kind old lady on the TV who I just want to mention did a fantastic job of acting in this story, by the way. Whoever that old lady was, she was actually the best actor in this story, in my opinion.
She wasn't that old. She was like middle-aged. I think this is supposed to be some sort of famous announcer. Yeah, they don't name drop her, but I mean, I'm pretty sure, I'm just guessing here, but British people would probably know who this is supposed to be, although I didn't.
Yeah, I don't think it's the exact person that they're obviously using, but I think it's supposed to be referencing someone from that time who, I guess British people would know. But anyway, she did a fantastic job in my opinion. That's all I wanted to say.
All right. Yeah, we saw in the preview last week the face sucking, and it honestly it was I was hyped for that preview because it was one of the best previews, and it showed you just like a glimpse of like the guy's face getting sucked into the TV. But that's really all it is. It's just his face getting sucked into the TV. So I guess they did just show you everything.
Yeah, I guess there was nothing for them to show last week. We were all like, wow, we're really hyped now, but turns out they were just doing the same thing they always did, and the story was just really underwhelming. Anyway, title sequence, cut to Rose comes out of the TARDIS, is like, wow, we're going to go see Elvis Presley. And the doctor's like, Elvis Presley? Weak. But then he's like, yeah, we're going to the Ed Sullivan Show. The doctor thinks he landed in 1956 in New York, but he actually landed in 1953 in the UK, unsurprisingly. So he always lands in the UK. But it's like some weird suburban area.
Yeah, it's Muswell Hill.
Yeah, well, so they come out of the TARDIS and they get on this motor scooter and they're driving around, and Rose is like, so that would be the Ed Sullivan Show in New York, right? And the doctor's like, yeah. And Rose is like, so why are there Union flags flying? And the doctor's like, damn it.
Yeah, not Union Jacks. Union flags.
Nah, whatever.
Well, she makes a big deal about it later.
For some reason. Didn't know Rose cared so much.
No, I don't think she does. She just wants to tell off what's-his-face. But
Yeah,
we'll
she
get
just wants
there.
to be a prissy bastard. That's what.
She was actually kind of cool in that scene. Rose was cooler in this story than she probably has been all season, although it doesn't
Quickly
really
falls apart.
It doesn't really make this story any better, because this was kind of a weak story, but whatever.
Also, it quickly falls apart when they put her out of commission for half the episode.
Yeah, there's that too. Anyway, they're driving through the streets, and I think they see a guy get kidnapped.
Yeah, government napped. I always thought it was weird that people use the term kidnapping to refer to like adults getting snatched because kidnapping, but whatever.
I
mean, it makes
know,
sense.
like, the etymology of that word kidnap. I don't know. Guess I could look it up. But,
yeah, you're the English major here. Come on, do your job, pull your weight.
Anyway, they start following the car, but they run into a dead end, and the people in the car execute Operation Market Stall, which is that they just drive into a blocked off area and have their cohorts, I guess, just set up a fake market stall at the end of an alleyway.
Yeah.
Really not suspicious.
They do it really quickly, though. Really efficiently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the little cart thing is just right there, so they just wheel it into the street, and they have this one guy just sweeping, the other guy just selling his wares. I think it's fruits, actually.
Yeah, if the rest of the government was this efficient, maybe we wouldn't have problems.
And the doctor's like, huh, where'd they go? That's weird. But then they kind of just forget about it for a while.
Yeah, because the doctor's like, well, let's go back and ask the neighbors what's going on.
So they go and ask the family from the beginning of the story, who has apparently locked their grandma up in the attic. You know, that old trope, that old 19th century trope of the crazy woman up in the attic. Although it's not actually the attic, it's just like the top floor. It's the bedrooms, yeah. But she's still locked in, and she's banging her cane against the floor, which, I mean, before you know what's even happening, makes sense since they locked her in the room. But then they freak out about it. They're like, is she ever going to stop that?
Probably not, because you locked her in the bedroom. Yeah, we've actually gotten, I think, one scene before this. There's a lot of, like, really kind of cringeworthy, quote-unquote, humor in this story, where Mark Gatiss has the characters be like, oh, man, look at that amazing picture quality. And then it's like a 1950s TV, and you're just like, okay, you don't have to point it out. It's not funny. But anyway... Like, it happens, like, the first time we see the family with the TV, the dad's like, look, you would think they're in the room with you. And I'm like, no, really, no, you really don't.
Anyway, the mom is kind of concerned because it's her mom locked in the room, and the dad is like, she'll be fine, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Your first indication that or one of your first indications that the dad is kind of a total D-bag, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, another indication, I guess, was him wearing full military regalia in the first scene of the story for no apparent reason.
Well, he's a veteran, apparently.
But most veterans don't just go around wearing full
no
military honors just when they're at home listening to the radio. Like, I mean, you might, but that's just an indication that maybe you're kind of egotistical.
Hey, it's the coronation. It's a spiritual experience between crown and person and country. Just kidding, I don't know.
So the doctor and Rose show up, and the doctor makes a deduction that the guy's got a family, so he'd probably most likely be swayed by the doctor being a government official coming for an inspection. So he whips out the psychic paper. He's like, I'm a government official coming for inspection.
I think it was more so that he was extremely patriotic.
I mean, also that, I guess.
Rather than having a family. But, yeah, so they barge in. And this is when Rose goes off about the Union Jack, Union flag thing. Apparently, it's only the Union Jack when it's flown at sea.
Okay. I mean, okay, cool. It's kind of
funny, though. I actually thought Rose was kind of cool in this moment. You know, just... She felt more like Season 1 Rose than Season 2 Rose.
Yeah, kind of. But once again, they put her out of commission in 5 minutes, so...
Yeah.
Also, it's kind of like that old tradition of flying a flag upside down if you're in distress, which kind of sucks if you have a flag like France where you fly it upside down. It's the same thing. So the doctor and Rose... The doctor goes off on the guy for making his wife do all the housework. He's like, do you think the queen does her own housework? And he's like, I guess not. Gotcha. Zing.
Yeah, there were a lot of morals and messages in this story, and they didn't really do a good job integrating them into the story itself.
No, the story was really heavy-handed. That was one of the things I noticed while I was watching it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's all right, but could have integrated it into the actual story more.
Mm-hmm. Could have made it more relevant to the plot, too, I
Yeah.
guess. Because it really only
Whatever.
exists for the subplot of the Doctor trying to get Tommy to come help him, really.
Yeah, pretty much, I guess. But, whatever. It's not the first time this has happened on Doctor Who, and it definitely won't be the last. At least it doesn't go 2 Doctors level with the blood licking.
I mean, it gets pretty close, to be honest. Because later on, Tommy goes off on his head like, you fought fascism to give us the opportunity to say what we want. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it kind of undermines his own rhetoric in that speech when he's like, you fought against fascism to get little annoying twerps like me.
Okay, we're not there yet. We'll get there. We'll get there.
That was the funniest line in this, honestly.
What, you didn't like that solid line about, whoa, color television? Oh, right in the liver.
I don't even remember that. Oh, yeah, it was the detective guy who the Doctor meets pretty
Later
soon,
on.
actually.
Well, so first they go running upstairs and they look at the grandma and she's got no face. Spooky.
Yeah.
Really, I feel like there's an obvious mix between CG no faces and like people wearing a mask no face, which I think is really obvious later on when the Doctor sees all of them in that room because they all look like they're wearing masks. But I guess Billy Piper just wasn't down with that because Billy Piper's face looks super CG comparatively.
Well, so do the grandmas. So, maybe for the shots that were just like straight on, a person's face, they used CG to make it quote unquote better.
Quote unquote being the key phrase in that sentence.
But who knows, really? Who knows?
Euros, Lynn probably does. Euros.
Another reason to email him. Anyway, the dad starts getting really mad. And he's like, wait a minute. Why am I letting these government officials order me around?
Because it's the government.
So he sort of shoos the Doctor and Rose away, but not before Rose sees something weird going on with the TV.
Well, the G-men come and take the grandma, and so that's why the Doctor rushes out, because he's going after them again.
Yeah.
But then Rose sees the TV while she's ostensibly following the Doctor, but not really.
She's like, that's weird. She sees some sort of electrical impulse, I guess, coming out of the cable on the back of the TV.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that cable is called, because it's from the 50s.
The cable. And so she's like, wow, that's kind of weird. So she turns the TV around and is like, oh, Magpie Electronics. This is probably an opportune time to mention that any time from here on out that Doctor Who needs a generic electronics company, it's pretty much always Magpie, because that way they don't have to pay rights to anyone. It's a real company. So
Okay.
the company Magpie Electrical shows up quite a bit, kind of just as background, throwaway little fun things.
Would be pretty interesting if when the reboot finally ends, they just bring it all back, sort of like a Bad Wolf or Torchwood type thing, where Magpie was somehow behind everything since Series 1.
The Doctor has like a guitar amp in Series, I think, 9, that's from Magpie Electrical, which I thought was interesting. And when they animated Power of the Daleks, they even put a Magpie Electrical sign in the background. So
Wow.
maybe it really has been there all along. So Rose is like, I'm going to go to Magpie. The Doctor follows the car and realizes what they've done with Operation Market.
Yeah, they execute Operation Market Stall again. And it's literally the same exact scene. It's the guy sweeping, the other guy selling the fruits or whatever, and the Doctor's like, yeah, this is definitely just a cover for whatever's behind that door there.
Yeah, they really should have come up with 2 or 3 contingency plans so they could rotate through them.
Or at least not the exact same scene. Okay, because this time it's in the middle of the night, yet it's the same exact scene as it was at like 10 a.m.
Yeah, well, whatever. The Doctor, breaks in through a vent that's just on the side of a building somewhere.
Yeah, bring back that classic series thing of people using the vents to escape that we haven't seen since, season 6.
Yeah, that real big classic thing that appeared in...
It was kind of a big thing for a while.
I guess, for a little bit. But then they threw it away because they realized it was dumb.
No, I don't think they realized it was dumb. I think they just kind of threw it away.
Probably because they were overusing it.
Yeah, I really don't know. They used it a lot in the Base Under Siege season, which was season 6.
Season 6. Good old Troughton and his Base Under Siege. So, yeah, Rose goes to Magpie and meets Mr. Magpie.
She's like, "What are you doing, Magpie?"
And he's like,
No, she doesn't just flat out say it. She's like, "I want to buy a TV." And he's like, "We're closing in 5 minutes." And I really sympathized with Magpie in this scene because, it's always annoying when someone like walks in 5 minutes before closing time and they want to do whatever they're there to do.
Yeah, well, also Magpie wants her to leave so she doesn't get sucked into the TV, but that doesn't work. Because she kind of like, I don't know, she like pokes her nose around and he's like, I'm sorry about this. And then the lady shows up on the TV and it's like, feed me. And this is when I started to get real Little Shop of Horrors vibes from this. Basically, I've only seen the musical version, but Little Shop of Horrors is about a guy named Seymour who finds a plant, and he works in like a florist in Skid Row, so they don't get a lot of business. But he finds like a talking plant, and he discovers that the plant eats people to grow.
So pretty typical stuff there. No.
Yeah, but like the plant's catchphrase is "Feed me, Seymour." Feed me. And also, Seymour's using it to get rich and famous, and the plant promised Seymour that it's not going to eat Seymour. And, there's just a lot of parallels here. Also, Little Shop of Horrors is set in the 50s, so that's another one that I just thought of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we should probably find out what this woman's name is, / who she's supposed to be.
I guess.
We could at least do the minimum research on the story.
The Wire was based on Annette Mills, a children's television host in the 1930s, known to start off her show For the Children, Watch with Mother with the phrase, "Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin." There you go.
Interesting. So kind of a Shelley Duvall type, I guess. Except without the getting schizophrenia 30 years later thing.
I mean, we don't know what happens to The Wire 30 years from now. In 1984, I guess. So, yeah, the doctor flips the interrogation on the guy. The guy's like interrogating the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Well, how about you? Tell me everything you know." And he just goes along with it.
I think he notices that the guy is
in way over his head.
In that end, is sort of pissed that he's been told not to do his job because he's been told not to do any actual detective work and just to kidnap people.
Anything for Queen and country.
But the guy's convinced pretty easily. He and the doctor go over some of the facts of what's been going on.
Then the other guy brings in another one they found, and it's Rose. She was just dumped on the street. Now the doctor gets really angry because Rose has had her face taken. But really, he should be getting angry at Rose for wandering off. I mean...
Not really.
I mean... It was like, what, 4 weeks ago when the doctor was like, "Oh, every time people break up and leave from me, they get into trouble."
Well, in this, she wasn't really, not that he had any way of knowing this, but she wasn't really wandering off. She was actually investigating what was actually going on.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he had no way of knowing that, so wouldn't he have just assumed that she wandered off? I would have.
But we know, and that's
I guess
all that matters, I guess.
Anyway, he gets really angry, so he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna go kill the Wire," or whatever. Well, he doesn't know it's the Wire yet, but... And then, okay, this scene kind of confused me, this transition anyway, because the doctor's like, "Let's go, Detective Inspector," and he opens the door, and then it cuts to the doctor leaving the base at, high noon, even though it had been, midnight in the previous scene. I was like, did they just wait around for, 10 hours for the sun to come up? Did the doctor say, "Let's go," and then just immediately sit on the couch and wait for the sun to come up? Hang on.
Gotta get their rest, Maybe he meant let's go after we get a good night's sleep. But, who knows? I actually didn't notice the little time skip there.
Yeah, so...
But they go back, I think, to the family.
Yeah.
Who's having their coronation party, I guess. And the dad, someone mentions the grandma, and the dad just passes it off yeah, she really would like this, wouldn't she? But she's too sick to come down.
Yeah, and Tommy's like, maybe everyone can go up to visit her later. Dad. Wow. And the dad's like, "Oh, he's a mama's boy." And then the lady's like, "Oh, you know what they say about them? You gotta beat it out of them soon." He's like, "That's what I'm gonna do."
Then we cut to a really graphic beating scene where Tommy's... But no.
Tommy's crying. Dad's got him over his knee with a belt. Okay.
Jesus. No, none of that actually happens. Instead, the doctor, I was going to say Anne Rose, but no, just the doctor shows back
the
up.
Doctor and Detective Inspector, what's his name? But I think the doctor just calls him Detective Inspector.
Yeah, he could have been a pretty
Bishop,
cool companion, possibly. I mean, he was kind of one note in this, but, you know.
I mean, he would have been like Duggan in City of Death, really.
Kind of. Anyway.
Yeah, so they open the door and Tommy's like, hey, and the doctor's like, talk to me, Tommy, you're going to tell me everything. And the dad comes out like, what are you doing, Tommy? And then this is when Tommy does his whole, you've been calling the G-Man about everybody on our block with no faces. You're the real fascist who fought the fascists, but you're the fascist.
It's revealed that the dad is the one who's been informing on all the people who've had their faces sucked off. And I didn't know how the mom and Tommy found this out, but they're right.
Well, I think they figured it out, or at least I figured it out when the grandma got taken, because Tommy says nobody even knew grandma had no face except us three, so it had to have been one of us three, and it's not going to be my mom, because it's her mom, and all she wanted to do was fix it, so it has to be you, Dad.
I guess that makes sense. But yeah, Tommy then goes off on the dad about the fascism stuff. And this is another thing that could have been like actually integrated into the story more instead of just a little speech here. But it was also kind of funny because he goes, "You gave the little twerps like me the chance to whatever
say whatever I want."
Yeah, say whatever I want.
I mean, they kind of tried barely to integrate it into the story when they land, and the doctor's like, "Men in black kidnapping people? This is Britain. This is Elizabeth's Britain, not Stalin's Russia." Which, like, I don't know, communism and fascism, too, you know, that's also pretty different, I guess.
Yeah, they do a pretty poor job of it anyway.
Yeah, this whole speech here is just really poorly integrated.
Anyway, I think the dad just kicks them out, if I remember correctly.
No, the mom kicks the dad out.
Oh, yeah, the mom shows up and she's like, yeah, it's not cool that you informed on grandma, so...
Wait, you're forgetting another gem of dialogue. We did have a monster living under our house, but it wasn't my grandma, it was you.
Yeah, it's probably one of those lines that worked a lot better when it was
in
written.
Mark Gatiss's head than it did on screen. Yeah, probably.
But anyway, they kick the dad out. He's like, fine.
Okay. I don't know if you're really supposed to feel bad for the dad or not. The story does a really bad job of deciding whether or not it wants you to feel bad for him or if it wants you to be like, yeah, kick him out.
Well, he's not a good person. That much is obvious. But at the end, they sort of want you to, they want Tommy, the Doctor and Rose, that is, want Tommy to go and forgive him, which he goes and interacts with him. We don't hear what he says. He could just be saying like, F you, Dad, I never want to see you again, as he walks off with
takes his suitcase from him and runs off with it. Not gonna have any clothes.
Yeah, we really don't know what he says there at the end.
So Tommy goes with the doctor and they go to, so they figure out, Tommy mentions that she was watching TV when it happened. The doctor's like, oh, TVs. That's right. This is the first like major event everyone tunes in on TV for.
Must be Magpie Electronics behind it all. And I actually figured that out because Magpie has been selling like $5 TVs to everyone in town.
£5. This is
£5,
London.
Whatever. Sorry, $10 TVs.
Pretty sure the pound is still stronger than the dollar.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah.
Classic. So the doctor's like, are they now? Strokes chin in contemplation. So they go, and then Magpie's like, yep, you bought this on yourself. This is the part where the Wire reveals that she's the Wire and that her race executed her, kind of like Brain of Morbius. And she, like, her consciousness escaped, also like Brain of Morbius.
Kind of like Last of the Gadarene, that Mark Gatiss book.
Wait a minute. We're on to you, Mark. We're on to you. So, but she turns color, and the detective inspector's like, whoa, color TV. It's like, okay, Mark, okay.
Reminds me of that famous quote from like the 1920s or whatever. I forget who said this, but these were two famous people. I just forget who they were. Someone pitched the idea of sound in movies and they were just like turned down. Like that's impossible. No one, even if we could do that, no one would want to hear sound in movies. It was probably earlier than the 20s, because by the 20s there was already sound in cartoons and stuff. But yeah,
Interesting.
I'll look up who those people actually were who were involved in that. But,
Probably a good idea.
but
So
anyway, the wire is like gonna get you and starts sucking their faces in.
yeah, and then the doctor's like, no, 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 no. Then pulls out his sonic screwdriver and does something. The wire's like, oh no, he's armed. Abort, abort. And she sucks herself back into the TV.
But they get the detective inspector, and I forget if they get Tommy. If she
No, they
gets
don't.
Tommy.
She doesn't get Tommy. Because Tommy has to help the doctor with the television station.
Yeah, which is what they go to do now to stop the broadcast. Because I don't think we mentioned, but since everyone's going to be tuning into the coronation, the wire is planning to suck everyone's face off.
Yeah, the wire feeds off of electrical energy in the brain, so the wire wants to suck everybody's face off at the coronation because then she will have enough energy to recreate a corporeal form, I guess, is her plan. We also forgot to mention the doctor found like a portable TV that Magpie now takes and the wire gets into, and he's taking it to the television station. The doctor asks Tommy where they are. He's like, oh, the hill. And the doctor's like, oh, that's right, Alexandria television antenna. It's like right over there. And they like look, and it's just down the road.
The doctor gets in using the psychic paper. I think
Yeah, he's the king of Belgium.
yeah.
The guy's like, the doctor's running up and he's like, I've got clearance. And the guy's like, shouldn't you be at the coronation? He's like, they're saving me a seat. And Tommy's like, who are you? And he's like, king of Belgium, apparently. It's like the second time the doctor hasn't known what the psychic paper has said. So maybe it's like he has some influence over what the psychic paper says, but he can never fully control what it says.
Yeah, that's how I thought it was explained in season 1.
Yeah. And maybe when he's not thinking about it, they just pick something random for him. Like the king of Belgium, apparently.
I thought it just showed the person whatever they needed to see to let the doctor do whatever he needed to do.
Maybe.
Which is why I think it's a huge plot device thing that shouldn't be used as much as it is.
I'm still okay with it. More okay with it than the sonic screwdriver anyway, which has been getting a lot of views these past weeks. I don't know if you guys have been following our sonic screwdriver page on our website, but you should go check it out. See how much it's grown since we started the reboot.
Yeah. Come to think of it, we actually organized that page in probably the worst way possible. We probably should have just done it by story, but, you know, oh well.
I don't remember the reason why we chose to organize it by function rather than story, but whatever.
Not gonna change it now.
Yeah, it'd be too much work.
Anyway, they get up on the antenna or whatever.
Yeah, they're climbing the antenna, and then Magpie's like, you promised me freedom, and the wire's like, and you'll have it, and just shocks him, and he falls and dies, and I'm like, wow, okay. He's the only person who dies in this story, by the way.
Yeah.
Sucks for him. The doctor invents the VHS tape 30 years early, somehow.
Yeah, he just copies the wire onto the tape, so really underwhelming ending to this underwhelming plot.
Well, so at first it doesn't work, and the wire tries to shock him, and he's like, haha, I'm wearing rubber-soled boots. And then I'm like, okay, I mean, I guess that's a pretty clever way to get out of shocking the doctor off. But then he plugs it in, and it doesn't work.
Probably would have been better if he mentioned the rubber-soled boots, like maybe in the first couple minutes of the story, so it's not just like out of nowhere here, like, haha, I'm wearing rubber.
Haha, rubber. But so it doesn't work, and then Tommy has to like fix something down in the control room, and then it works. And everybody gets their faces back. So I'm not sure how recording the wire to the VHS tape restored everybody's faces.
Yeah, so the wire had already started sucking people's faces off.
Including
but then,
the dog, by the way.
But then it just sort of stops and everyone goes back to normal when the doctor copies the wire onto the tape.
Yeah. So, good job, I guess. So they go, the doctor meets up with Rosie and is like, oh yeah, I saved the day.
They're having a sort of a block party, I guess.
Yeah, they just set up tables in the middle of the street.
Yep.
Without like any blockades warning oncoming cars that there's a table full of people in the middle of the street.
Okay, well, they probably should have something blocking off the cars, but you don't need a huge sign / blockade / warning to not mow down like these tables that are set up in the middle.
So the doctor and Rose are like walking around, and Rose is like, we could go see the coronation. The doctor's like, but this is real history here. All these people getting together, having a block party. This is what I live for. And Rose is like, wow.
Yeah. So they meet back up with Tommy, and they see the dad walking off with a suitcase, and they're like, run after him, Tommy. So he does, and then we see him talking with the dad, and this is the scene where we don't know what he says. But
Yeah.
presumably he forgives his dad and makes up with him.
Presumably.
Presumably. And then it sort of just ends.
Yeah. The Doctor and Rose don't even make it back to the TARDIS. It just ends with them there in the road at the block party. Cut to preview for next week.
Yeah, I don't even remember what this preview was about because I watched this episode almost a full week ago.
Well, you didn't miss much.
But I guess that's good because I'll be going into the next episode completely blind.
Probably better.
So I guess that's that.
Yeah, pretty underwhelming story, to be honest.
Yeah, probably the worst this season, I would say.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree. I mean, you could do a lot of cool things, I think, with an enemy that lives inside the television. But, like, I don't know, they didn't do anything
Yeah,
with it.
the Wire wasn't that interesting. Doctor Who always has villains that are sort of just like stranded on Earth, you know, maybe the last of their species or the last few at least. And this was really no different. Didn't bring anything new to the table. Didn't really bring anything interesting to the table.
Reminds me also of last season with the Slovene lady who's like, if you send me back, I'm just gonna get killed because they already sentenced me to death.
Yeah, but that was a lot more well executed because, well, it's, I guess, switched the location to Cardiff for once and also brought up some of the more moral dilemma-ish stuff.
I mean,
and played into like the rest of the season with the surfboard thing.
I mean, but this one was set in like suburban London, which we haven't really ever gotten. We typically only get the big major city center of London.
I guess, yeah.
So, I mean, they tried to at least mix it up a bit, but the suburban London street they chose looked like it might be just cookie-cutter houses, because all the houses looked identical to each other, almost kind of like it was out of some sort of creepy fantasy vision.
Well, that's suburbs for you.
Yeah, I guess. Apparently the antennas on all the houses looking like swastikas was intentional.
I didn't even notice that. But
Neither did I, but
all right.
apparently it was intentional to evoke the post-war era. So,
anyway, like we mentioned, there were some pretty big morals and messages in this story, but they were kind of heavy-handed with it, didn't really integrate it as much as they could have, so that was okay, I guess, but could have been better.
yeah.
And Rose, I thought Rose was pretty cool in this. Again, like I mentioned, she kind of reminded me of season 1 Rose. You know, she sort of went off, did her own thing, and was trying to solve the mystery, find out what's going on. But then they kind of just wrote her out of the story for most of it, which wasn't as cool as it could have been, I guess.
Yeah, it was also approximately pretty close to half of the story that she was out of commission. So that's kind of a bummer, and I don't really know why. I guess because they needed the doctor and Tommy to do something. I don't know.
Maybe just to have that scene where the doctor gets all mad and
maybe
at the Wire or whatever. But whatever.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Just a mediocre, I think, story overall. Just sort of a 2 out of 5.
Ratings don't mean anything on this show.
No, they don't.
Definitely one of Mark Gatiss' weaker stories, I think. Anyway. You can email us at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on TV. Should we do Trust Your Doctor as a daily TV show? Please say no. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and YouTube, all at Trust Your Doctor. Leave a rating if you like the show.
Check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast, and follow us on Twitter. And next time we're watching The Impossible Planet and The Satan Pit. But until then, the end.